welcome everybody. It is now officially the off season,
Yep.
but we must review the big show, the big finale. We have with us always Will, Peter. How are you doing? How was your Super Bowl weekend?
Yeah, no, was interesting. It was an interesting game. It was good to see the results that I saw personally. So yeah, can't wait to get into it. Also, it's gonna be fun to sort of go over some of the stuff that's sort of bubbling in the off season right now. So yeah, can't wait.
Oh,
Peter, how
exciting
was it?
week. It was a good Super Bowl. In the end, it turned out to be a good game. Um, it was a fascinating game, and we interested to see what's going to happen this off season. Um, with the Rams and the ramifications of that. But it was a good Super Bowl.
Oh,
I ran
you've
out
even
chicken
got a
wings, but
pun there. The ramifications. It's as if he didn't even mean that to happen.
Just
Like,
rolls off the
it
tongue.
just came
Yeah,
out naturally. But yes, the ramifications of victory, what happened in the off season. We don't know what is going to happen. But before we talk about all of the consequences, let's talk about the game itself.
all right.
It was really good, I think. It wasn't like I'll say it wasn't a game for the ages, but
yep.
it went to the wire, which a lot of Super Bowls don't do.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
absolutely. I think both sides kind of represented themselves very well. Like I said, it was back and forth because it was almost like each team had like its own half of football, and
Hmm.
we'll get into it later on as well. But I definitely think like the game could have definitely gone the other way around, take into account the results. Obviously, the Rams did go on to win the Super Bowl, but yeah, I think both teams represented well. But yeah, once we start to sort of dissect what went down, I think we'll sort of open up more conversations there. But it was definitely an awesome game. Great halftime show as well, I might add. So yeah,
Oh, it
Probably
was
one of the
a
best.
yeah,
glorious
It was
halftime show.
amazing.
yeah,
I was in student union for this halftime show because our a friend of the show is a head coach of a university team, and when Eminem came on, everyone was going wild with the lyrics and everything, and I turned to my friend and I said, "These guys weren't even born when this song came out because this song is 20 years
yeah,
old."
yeah. That's
And
a
I
good
was
point,
like,
actually.
this makes
Yep.
me feel
Yep.
really, really old right now. And then I saw, was it Brett Coleman's tweet of, so this is what it feels like to have a nostalgic Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
we're at that age now. We've hit the nostalgia point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's true because we're used to seeing like old rock legends like Bruce Springsteen and people like that. And then we're there like, yeah, we don't get it. Not to say they're bad artists or whatever, but it's from a different era, you know what I mean? But we've hit that point now whereas artists we grew up watching are being on them. We're like, yeah, man, this is so hype. And then like my brother, obviously, he's a teenager right now, so he's 19 at the moment. But it's basically he's looking at me like, who are these guys? I mean, I've heard of Snoop Dogg, but he's that guy on that
No,
cooking
whoa, whoa,
program.
whoa, 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 whoa. Who are like I was actually told that they had to give a lesson to
Yeah,
some of the guys on the journey back from their game because they had a game.
yeah,
They played against Bath University and they drew that game, so they had a
yeah.
tied ball game. But it was they had to give a lesson in some of the artists because these kids didn't have a clue.
Yeah, no, no, it's true. It's true. I've literally had people at my workplace say, "Who's Missy Elliott?" Like, who is like they know
Mary,
who
who's
Snoop
Mary
Dogg
J.
is.
Blige?
Who's Mary J. Blige? Like, they know who Snoop Dogg is, but they recognize him from the comedy show. You know what I mean? Like the cooking program. Slice of life stuff. And I'm like, no, this guy's like a hardcore gangster rapper, but back in the day. So it's kind of like how he's reinvented his career. So yeah, but yeah, awesome, awesome halftime show, and it's definitely raised the standard and has helped sort of bring the Super
Well, the
Bowl
standard. It's
closer
been
to.
2 good weeks in a row.
Yep.
2 good years in a row because it was the weekend in Tampa the year before,
Yeah.
and this year was
I
the
mean, last year
medley
who performed?
of artists. Well, it was the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah. It
yeah, it
was.
was
I
the
think
weekend
on
that
that set, yeah,
that
they had that
performed
weird
last
set where
year's
it's
Super
like a
Bowl.
maze.
Yeah, where he was
It's
like
like in a maze or
looking
something.
lost and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, and like a maze or something. So that was
yeah.
pretty cool to see.
I see. I mean,
Yeah,
But
definitely.
youngsters these days don't know these artists, and I think it goes back to, um, if you're a youngster, you're not music aficionado, you're not into music, you wouldn't know who these are. But certainly people that follow music will know. Listen, they give birth to your rappers these days, bro. They paved the way for some of these ones that you listen to, and I don't even get their music anyway. So hey,
Yeah.
that's them.
If you get in a Super Bowl halftime show, you're definitely an artist for the ages because they don't just let anyone go on that stage.
like
So yeah, no, it's a
the
big
only
deal.
other artist that I would have said that would have been fitting, but they've already done a halftime show, would have been the Red Hot Chili Peppers because literally they are one of the artists of LA.
Yep.
But they've already done their Super
Mhm.
Bowl halftime show, so it's kind of
Yeah, that's
irrelevant.
true. I mean, I think the reason why they got Snoop Dogg, Dre, Eminem, because they're all like West Coast rappers. They're all based in out of California, so
Eminem's
makes
what
sense.
Detroit, so that's a little bit.
Well, but
Matthew Stafford.
Yeah,
He's got a
a
horse in the
Detroit
race.
connection, isn't it? That's what it is.
He's got a horse in the race, so it's all right. You know, it's
but like,
it's nothing crazy.
but the thing is, well, if Eminem didn't go to the West Coast, nobody would have heard of him. So hey, West Coast gave
True.
Detroit a shot.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
now to talk about the game itself, let's dissect it. Well, first of all, out of all of those records that I rattled off that could have been broken, how many of them did get broken in that game?
I'd probably
Well,
say
about
maybe
two.
two.
In the postseason
I-
records, got
I'd probably-
broken.
I
Broken.
wouldn't say broken. Or maybe two, because I know Cooper Cup, he's probably going to be in one. Von Miller, I know, has had one of the best postseason in terms of like
Let
sacks
me-
and tackles. He really
let me
came onto
just-
things. I think Von Miller did really well.
Okay, let me just.
So what? Cooper Cup was the only one with the receptions record.
That was it.
In the postseason, yeah. So what? It was only just the one.
It was just that
Yeah, the
one.
receptions
Just the
record.
one. Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense. If it was going to be anyone, it would be Cooper.
So two people tied the record.
Okay.
And the people who tied their records were Shooter,
Yeah.
denied the opportunity,
Yeah.
to tie the ball game and therefore get the to beat Vinatieri's field goal record.
That's tricky.
And Von Miller got 6 tackles for a loss in a single
Yeah.
postseason.
I mean,
He needed one more.
he needed one more. Yeah, I knew he was close because he was going on a tear this postseason. But that was awesome to see. So yeah.
But okay, key aspects of the game. I saw. Well, first half, that Bengals O line held up.
Yep. Well, it had to.
That Rams defensive line couldn't get through.
Yep. They probably got like a massive pep talk. Like it was a fairly quiet sort of 2 weeks leading up to it. Usually there's all this fanfare, but I think both teams are sort of zoned in and knew exactly what they had to do. But going into this game, they absolutely knew if you're facing Aaron Donald, which a lot of people view as, some people are already saying he's the best defender ever, which is insane to me because you have LT, you know what I mean? So, but that's a whole
high
different
praise
argument.
for him.
But it's high praise, and that just goes to show the kind of talent in terms of a player that he is. You've also got Von Miller as well, that linebacking core. That front four for the Rams is just devastating to sort of go up against. So that line was drilled constantly in the 2 weeks leading up. Hey guys, you just got to hold firm, right? They're gonna get through, and they did in the end. But you just got to
They
hold
did
firm.
in the end because they made. Well,
Yeah.
we saw. Was it Donald versus Adeniji.
Yeah.
And he just pushed him all the way back.
Mate, it was insane.
It was abusive.
Yeah, it was insane. But yeah, no, they held up early on, and the Bengals were able to establish a run game. I think both sides were able to sort of get the ball moving.
One question: why did they go away from it?
Here's the thing: a lot of
Because they
people
were
are like,
averaging 5.4 yards a carry
yeah,
at that
But
point.
no, but eventually the Rams were gonna clamp down on it though, because the thing is, okay, you
Yeah, but they
start
stopped
relying on
running the ball. They just carried on passing it.
No, but my question is this: the thing is that okay, so Zach Taylor overthink himself and went to the pass a bit more, but knowing the Rams front seven, okay, the run games are going. Eventually, defense will shift to whereby they're gonna start playing the run more. Like okay, so your run game is going, they will shut the run game down eventually. Because I didn't think the Bengals could carry the run game all the way through to winning the game with the run. They weren't gonna win the game by just running the ball.
So,
I
then
mean-
when they decided to run the ball, like 2 minutes in the last minute or so, they ran it with P Ryan instead of Joe Mixon.
No, but Zach Taylor took responsibility for that, But I get what you're saying. In that game situation, I would have gone to Mixon because Mixon is the bigger, is a better running
He's your
back.
guy.
Yeah, but Zach Taylor said in most of the situations throughout the season,
For 2
they relied on
minutes.
P Ryan
Yeah,
in 2
for
minutes
2
in
minutes
areas
off,
to pick out the third and ones because he's a bigger back. So you're thinking if I go with the bigger back, he might push the pylon. But he didn't count on Aaron Donald going crazy on that
he
drive.
did not count at all on Aaron Donald.
He didn't think Aaron Donald
Like,
was gonna.
I just want to
go
put it.
crazy
I want to put
and
that in
be like-
perspective. All right, Aaron
and be
Donald
like,
is
you
like
shall
two.
not pass or you shall not run.
Yeah, I want to put
Okay.
it on in
Uh-huh.
perspective right now because Aaron Donald is like what 6'2", 200,
See, no,
260.
He's
He's
6'1".
flat.
He's 6'1",
Isn't he 6
yeah.
foot?
No, he's
6 foot.
6'1".
6'1".
Samaje P Ryan is walking around at 240. This guy's like a classic early 2000 like downhill runner. Like he doesn't run like that because he grew up in the West Coast system, so he's like a space kind of guy. But Aaron Donald, while being double teamed, grabs a 240-pound Oklahoma running back with one hand and just drags him down
Meow.
while getting double teamed. Do you know, like, any normal person does that, and that pectoral is just getting torn clean off? Aaron Donald has made it like another day in the office. Like I said, it was a crazy game and really highlighted the type of ability in regards to these players. So that was
No,
just
but
awesome to see.
It's a testament to Aaron Donald though, because Aaron Donald is one of those players that he's a generational talent at defensive tackle and defensive end. When I say generational, they're these type of
Would
players.
you call him a
whereby-
generational defensive end because of he
I'm saying-
tends to play more inside than outside, and on the end he's
The reason why I say
always as effectual
defensive end is
because of his
because
height.
I could literally put him at defensive end and he will still get to the quarterback. It doesn't matter where you put him across
But he
the
tends
line.
to stunt inside when he goes from
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
He doesn't.
absolutely.
He doesn't really tend to have that be a ability to go around the outside.
I think
from
that's his
defensive
only
end
physical
perspective.
limitation. It's
No,
only
but-
like his
but-
height
but-
and range, but he can play anywhere on
but
that
hear
line
me
and
out.
still do well.
Guys, hear me out. What I'm trying to say is Aaron Donald is a generational type
Correct.
of player. It doesn't matter where you play him alongside the defensive line. You can put him on end in a 4-3, ask him to go around the tackle and get to the quarterback. He will find a way to go around the tackle. The reason why I'm saying that, he's a type of player that, like Dylan, when you were saying that his limitation, if you put a defensive end, it might limit him. I don't think it will limit Aaron Donald because of how he works in the offseason. This guy,
Yeah.
if you've seen his training
From a
regimen,
mentality perspective, it's a
crazy.
different thing. Yeah.
it's like the way he works his physique, his physicalness. He's the only defensive tackle I've seen in the league that has a 6-pack at 285 pounds
Yep.
with a 6-pack. Like, how is he able to do that?
He's
It's
lean.
because he invests in his body, he invests in his skills, he honing on his pass rush. His training regimen in the offseason is so meticulous and it's so hard fought. And he's so talented. When I say generational, a generational talent is a type of player that no matter what position you put him, they are going to be successful. If you get what I'm saying, within their crafts. Okay, so let me clarify that. Obviously, when you put Aaron Donald at quarterback, he might have, because of course he can't throw. But what I'm saying is that if you put Aaron Donald at, let's say, 3-4 outside linebacker and ask him to drop a couple of pounds, he will still be successful at his height because he has that gift, that talent, and he works hard to be successful at. That's what I mean by he's such a generational type player. And it's so funny that teams will look at it and be like, let's try and find a shorter defensive tackle now. Now you might find someone with the same build, same weight, but they're not going to be Aaron Donald because
it's whether you've got to have
they don't have his
one
talent.
that unique set of skills and that mentality as well to go with it.
It's just the mentality as well, because I seeing him coming out of Pitt, he was nowhere near, like, he always had his quickness and burst, but he wasn't as like built as he was now. Like back then, you know, he was a bit loose. He was a bit like, I call him like sort of cauliflower muscle. You know, he looks soft. But what he's become physically,
he wasn't soft, bro.
What he's become physically, yeah. But if you look at those images, he basically looks like, you can definitely tell he's put in the effort in the offseason to become the monster that he is now. And if you ask me, like, he'll never, like, he's in that conversation with LT. But right now, I'm gonna put it like this: until the interior linemen get paid because of Aaron Donald, that's when you know he's fully in that LT discussion. Because LT was the reason left tackles got paid.
I'll stop you for 1 second. In college, he wasn't that soft because when you win the Lombardi Award, the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, the Chuck Bednarik, and the Outland Trophy, those are all the trophies they give to the best defensive lineman in college football, and he won all of them in one season. He wasn't soft in college. It's just that when he's coming out,
he's not talking about soft as a player. We're talking about soft as in his muscle.
Yeah, in terms of his development physically, like if you look at like he's changed.
When he was coming out, yes, he's gonna change when it comes to the league. But when he was coming out, people didn't think he was gonna be like the draft analyst. They always have this thing about defensive tackles because he's typically undersized. Because when you are 6 feet, 285 pounds, they don't expect to have that much of an impact. They expect you to be 300 pounds plus. But what he has done is
they expect you to be taller.
Exactly. So he's changed the narrative on that because when he was coming out, they didn't think he was going to be this good of a player. But hey, credit to him. He came in and he just changed the narrative. You know, certain players have that chip on their shoulder. And I never expected him to be this dominant in the NFL, and he has been. So full credit to him. He's been very, very dominant.
Right. So I've got to talk about the game-winning play and Aaron Donald was incredible on that play. We've seen if anybody has seen the mic'd up footage from Sean McVay saying Aaron Donald's going to make a play on this one. He's going to make a play on this one, and then he goes and does it. But so in our group chat between the three of us, I put some screen grabs of that play. Of this is the moment that the left guard. It was the left guard, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the left guard versus Aaron Donald. And the centre is just... He's either waiting for somebody to come through that's not coming through, or he's supposed to be on a double team. By the time he gets to double team, Aaron Donald's already gone past the left guard.
It's crazy.
He's potentially missed his assignment on that play. And I put the next screen grab and he's gone. Yep. He's already getting towards Burrow.
Of course. The only thing is that it was a little bit offside though.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Was it a run that was offside?
No, because the screen grab that somebody had posted on Twitter with the offside picture, that was from the first half. On the 4th and 1.
Oh, okay.
You know, the first quarter from the 4th and 1.
No. When you put it in a group, I thought you meant he was offside on...
No. He was onside. I put that in the group to show how the offensive line play on that play, because effectively that centre didn't help his left guard at all. There wasn't a double team. There may have been a double team assignment on Donald, but they didn't physically double team him because he only had one guy to deal with. He beat the left guard and he was at the quarterback.
Depends on the scheme they're running, but sometimes when that happens,
Yeah, but when the Super Bowl's on the line, you've got to double Aaron Donald.
I think they counted on their guy being able to hold him back for a split second, but they forgot who they're playing against. And Aaron Donald's burst is just he's.
It was
really
very
got
eerie.
insane
It was
quickness off the
eerily
line.
like the Jimmy G play
Yeah.
at the end of the championship, NFC Championship. So, Aaron Donald, one of the great players of this game. Another great player from this game, from the Rams' perspective, was Cooper Kupp.
Cup.
Yep.
Yep.
Super
Now-
Bowl MVP.
Question.
Should have
On
gone
that
to Donald.
touchdown winning drive,
Yep.
he was doubled pretty much the entire time, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter whatsoever.
Yeah, I think
No,
the Rams
it
needed to lean on
it
him.
doesn't.
The Rams
doesn't
really
matter.
needed to lean on him.
I mean, it doesn't
you
matter
know-
because if you put and I think here's the thing about how good the Rams offense that he's playing in is he's in the perfect offense for his skill set, and I mean in terms of like
They really missed OBJ after he went down.
when
though.
exactly, but then it's so hard to double a player coming out of the slot. It's just hard to do. It's so hard to double a player coming out of the slot and how the releases of the line. It's easier to do the outside, but when they're in the slot, you can't. And someone that's as polished a runner as Cooper Kupp, is a. I mean, that no look
And
pass,
such great
pass-
hands as well.
Yeah, that no look pass for Matthew Stafford.
That's the
Cooper
player of
Kupp
the
made
week.
that play.
That is
I
the
mean-
player of the week.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with Arnold Donald because I'm a defensive guy. But I will say that Cooper Kupp made that throw possible because Cooper Kupp beat his guy, and when Matthew Stafford released that ball, he knew he was going to
The
get
fa-
caught.
Now, I'm going to ask a question. So, Cooper Kupp had 89 yards, 2 touchdowns, Super Bowl MVP, Offensive Player of the Year,
Should have been Donald.
receiving leader. Is his performance the best performance by a wide receiver?
In terms of all time, there'll be
Full season.
full season.
Full season.
I mean,
think it
regular
might-
and post.
regular and
Yeah,
post.
if
I
you
think that's the whole
you
tandem. Yeah.
cumulatively take both.
In terms of numbers, yeah.
In terms of
We're
how
not
he's
just
done it
talking-
as well.
How he's done it.
Yeah, how he's
So
done
I'm gonna put some stats, right. Regular season, his catch percentage was 75%, right? And he was on per target. He was averaging 10 point something yards per target. So on average, if they throw to Cooper Kupp, it's the first down. And in the postseason, he caught 78% of targets and averaged over 11 yards per target. See, he upped his game ever so slightly, but if you look at all of the great receivers, okay, he's out of the slot, so he's generally slot receivers will have a higher percentage, but to have a high percentage and then go for so many yards as well, that's a very rare. Like, that combination is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I think let's not sell him short. Like, just because he's in the slot, he can line up outside and he
Yeah.
can play outside the hash marks as well. The fact that he's made his name as a slot receiver, but he's outgrown that actual position. You can put him anywhere on the field. You can put him out the backfield as well. He's kind of like I want to say West Coast. They're both from the West Coast. I think him and Debo right now are some of the most versatile players on the field. He's got the hands. He's got the route running. He's smooth with routes. But then when he needs to
He's
get
faster
physical,
than people give him credit for.
when he needs to get physical and run downhill and run hard for a wideout, he can do that. And I think
And he
that's
can
something
block.
and he can block. So he can kind of like do it all. And a lot of teams are going to be sort of looking at Cooper Cup as the new prototype. You know, before it was like Julian Edelman, guys like that. You know, but I think like Cooper Cup is that new slot receiver prototype. A guy that can do a bit of everything. He can run outside, he can run inside. He's physical. He's got good routes. He attacks the ball. Great hands. Like he just does it all. You know, so I think in terms of his overall performance this entire year, so we're talking regular season and post, I think you've just got to give it to him. Now, I do agree with Pete. Donald perhaps should have got game MVP, but you know how the league is, Pete. Everyone wants to see Donald. Yeah, not Donald. Donald. You know how the league is, Pete. You know they always want to see the offense shine. They always give it to if it's close, just like with penalties.
I think the reason behind why I'll say this is that offense for the Rams was not clicking at all, right? Once OBJ went down, it wasn't clicking, and then from an offensive point of view, Cooper Cup was like on those, when they started to score some points, it didn't matter what the defense was doing. Cooper Cup was going to get himself open.
The thing is,
whereas on the defensive side, a lot of the players were eating. Von Miller was eating. 3 tackles for a loss in this game.
Yeah, but to quantify
Aaron Donald
though,
was eating.
But to quantify the reason why I go with Donald is because the Rams were not going to win this game without Donald. They win. It's as simple as that. Because
I think they would have been capable, because I think one of the others would have been able to get there as well.
Are you sure?
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in general. Von Miller could have been the game-winning player.
I actually feel as though
I don't think so.
Von Miller could have got to him, but I think Sam Darnold was.
No, I'm not talking about the specific play that happened. I'm talking about Von Miller could have been a game winner on that drive.
Yeah, I think
Von Miller could have, but if you think about it,
but most likely it was going to be Aaron Donald. Yes.
Yeah, but the reason why I said that the Rams were not winning that game without Aaron Donald. No, but if you look at the Bengals' offensive line throughout the playoffs, and we all know they didn't have a good offensive line. Most of the sacks Burrow was taking was from the inside. It wasn't really from the outside. Outside linebackers and DNs were not getting sacks on Burrow throughout the playoff series. It was Jeffrey Simmons on the inside.
Because it was Adeniji, the right guard, which was the problem. Yeah.
It was all the guards. Stop blaming Adeniji alone. You keep blaming him alone.
Because it was predominantly him.
Well,
it was all the guards.
He's got a guard against Aaron, so
it's all the guards. Like the center combination for the Bengals
it did not work this year at all.
It did not work. I actually believe that Jonah Williams is actually a good solid tackle. So if anything, they need to improve the interior of the offensive line for the offseason. But what I'm saying is, without Aaron Donald, without an Aaron Donald type player, the Bengals might have pulled it off. That's the thing. That's my argument as to why. And when you make a game-winning play, think about it. Previous Super Bowls, players that have made game-winning plays win MVPs. Like they've been, like when the Pittsburgh Steelers beat my Cardinals in 2008, the MVP was Antonio Holmes. He caught the game-winning touchdown. That's all he did, and he was Super Bowl MVP.
Jalen Ramsey had his worst ever performance. Full stop.
That's true.
But
also one of those plays was a 75-yard touchdown where he had a face mask. But then he also did commit a penalty. He should have been pulled for a penalty on CJ Uzomah in the first half.
But I mean.
No, it was a clear tug of the jersey. I
think that's how the refs were sort of playing the game the whole way through. They weren't. They were letting them fight. They were letting them scrap it out. They didn't want to be the reason.
And the reason why I say that, right? So the referees did have an impact on this game. They gave 7 points to Cincinnati, and they potentially gave 11 points to the Rams. And the reason why I say they gave 11 points to the Rams is CJ Uzomah, that's the first, that would have been a first down, another opportunity to get the ball in the end zone. So instead of taking the 3, they would have got 4 extra. And then
But it's not
on
guaranteed they'll score, though.
the 3rd and goal, on within the 2 minutes, there was a clear false start. The entire line, except from the centre, had moved up.
Yeah, I think we all saw that.
And it wasn't
screenshot.
even close.
We all saw that.
Yeah, we all
That
saw
shot
that.
with all their helmets over the ball.
I mean, literally, the fourth quarter, the last couple of minutes, the refs' decision.
They changed how they referee the game entirely.
Yeah, the refs' decisions changed, and that gives credence to what happened in the game, because you can't have, if you're calling the game whereby you're not really throwing flags, and call it the same way throughout the end. But it certainly had an impact in a kind of way. But when I talk about, for example, like I said, like Ramsey, for instance, had his worst game ever. Now the thing is that the Bengals, they had a Ramsey, and that's also one of the things that affected them defensively. They didn't have like a lockdown corner.
Yeah, I think the job Jamar Chase was able to do on Ramsey, that's one
That
for
play,
the
that
ages.
big time play.
That's one for the ages. And I think, I think if you're like a Bengals fan, you're going to take pride on that. Jamar Chase can run with anyone in the league. If you can make Ramsey look half a second slow, if you can make Ramsey look not bad as a corner, but definitely show him up. Like, obviously not the way Eli Apple got showed up by Cooper Kupp, but like, we can get into that later on. Apple sauce, as they called it on the sideline.
No, we're not even talking about that. Let's not give him an airtime.
He has been roasted on social media this week.
But yeah, no, Jamar Chase right there. I think he showed up, and to sort of take things back a little bit. The reason why the edge rush on the pass rush on the inside was so important is because you're going up against Joe Burrows, and he has ice in his veins. So even if you got outside pressure, that would not be enough to slow down his production. The only way was down the inside, which is why they put like a lot of emphasis on Darnold, and they forced him to come forward with the pressure, because they know this isn't like any old QB. Joe Burrow thrives under pressure. If you give him opportunity, he'll bust your head clean open with that ball. So it's just one of those things. But yeah,
this game, Cincinnati have a half decent offensive line. They win it.
I think that's the case. Yeah, I do. I think
maybe
because I think they could have easily marched the ball down. They would have marched the ball down. Like
maybe
any semblance of time for Burrow. And did you see on that game-winning play?
Yeah.
Jamar Chase had completely burned Jalen Ramsey. He was home free. He was home free. It's just there was no time for Burrow, and the meme came back to reality. The meme at the start of the season of Penei Sewell versus Jamar Chase. That meme finally came back to fruition and came back to be true.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't the best game for Jalen Ramsey, but I also feel like, could he have been super excited in the Super Bowl? Was it a case of...
I don't think it was that. I think it was just a good play of the other player as well.
Do you think he perhaps underestimated Chase?
No. When you go up against elite players, you don't underestimate them. You just...
No, but it can happen though.
The way he was getting beat though.
It
wasn't
wasn't
one of those things. Like,
it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Hold on. Like Will said, it's just one of those things. Like, okay, so the way Jamar Chase was beating Jalen Ramsey, it wasn't like, apart from the last play, it wasn't like he was beating him with like acres of space. Like, he was way behind Ramsey. Like, one of the catches that he had, Ramsey was right there. It's just a Ramsey, is one of them ones whereby you're right there, but Chase got to the ball and, reeled it in. It's one of those places whereby he's right there. It's not like he burned him badly, like how Kupp and how Eli Apple was getting bent throughout the whole game. It wasn't like that. Chase wasn't bending Ramsey like that. Like,
Eli Apple was a stewed, like, he was apple pie.
Like,
He was
the
already,
first touch,
cooked,
the
and
first
he was already ready to go in the oven and just, be
went to the
eaten
gas
up
mark
completely.
6. Like, like the first touchdown from Cooper Cup. Eli Apple was like in London, and what's his name? Cooper Cup is in Manchester.
Yeah.
Look at the distance.
Yeah, no, I must say I was loving the fact that there was a huge camaraderie across every receiver in the league. You can tell the hate and anger and frustration with Eli Apple was rampant, because I think one of the first, when Cooper Cup scored that TD on Eli, the first person he rushed to was Odell Beckham, and he basically just said applesauce.
No, it was Robert Woods.
Robert Woods, applesauce. They were all
Yeah.
having like a huge laugh because it's just, that's the only thing on their mind. Let's just take this guy out of the game. But I think that's how you play the game. I'm not mad at Eli Apple. I respect him.
I don't
as a
respect
corner-
him.
as a corner,
I don't
as a corner,
respect him.
as a
I don't
as a
respect him
corner.
as a corner. He's
you
trash.
put-
He's
as a-
trash. He is trash. You can say that. He's trash. I'm telling you, he's not a good cornerback. He talks too much for someone that's not even a top 50 or top 30 cornerback in the league.
former
Why
Giant.
you talk so much?
I talk to my Bengals
Be
team,
humble.
my Bengals friend at work all the time, and I always say, when it comes to Eli Apple, I always say this: he's serviceable.
Do
That's
you know what
all I
somebody
say.
wrote? So do you know what somebody wrote? Apple was the first person, it was the first Apple to do so much damage to people since Adam and Eve.
Ooh, that was a burn. That was a burn. See, the reason
But
why I
that
say
was
he's
good to
trash
see,
is like,
That's a good burn.
the
It
funny
was good
thing
to
is,
see.
the way he was trolling receivers and teams after every Bengals win, it was just, he was doing too much. And the thing is, like, you're not the reason why they were winning anyway. So why are you doing all that trolling and all that talking?
I
It's
think
like,
he's trying to get in people's heads, but I'm like, once you get this far into the playoffs, receivers in these teams are no joke. Like, they're zoned in. It's not going to work. If you're looking to like intimidate players, it's just not going to work. So I think he bit off more than he can chew. No pun intended there. So yeah, no, that was a good matchup to see. With regards to Jalen Ramsey and my thoughts on that, just like I said, I thought part of me as a player, like when I played the game, I've come up against wide receivers. Like, there was a guy in I think it was Portsmouth Destroyers. We played the Portsmouth Destroyers once, and that guy was baiting me out constantly. Like, he talked smack during the game because he wanted me to come out like a certain way. He wanted me to do press coverage on him because he felt confident in his speed. Now, I know he couldn't beat me off the line, so I was like, that's not going to work. But the main thing was, if you let it get into your head, if you play those games with the receiver, I think Jalen Hurts saw this as an opportunity. Jalen Ramsey saw this as an opportunity to be like, let me show everyone how good I am. This new kid's not going to be able to run with me. So perhaps he played outside of the system a little bit, and it cost him early. But as soon as the coaches got on his ass to get things back in gear, he was able to contain him a lot more. So I actually think that's him perhaps going a bit off the grain, if you know what I mean. And then sort of leading to like a few big plays. But then after that, he soon learned his lesson and then started playing within the system. But it's just one of those things. I think all great players want to test themselves against the best. If I put Zach Martin in that game from the Dallas Cowboys, he's going to want to test himself against Aaron Donald.
see, but
two players always want to do that.
The funny thing is, I'm yet to see an offensive guy do this. What defensive players do, but I don't know how much it will affect the blocking scheme if an offensive lineman was doing it. You know how literally Aaron Donald, JJ Watt was even the first one to do it, whereby they will test every single offensive lineman and they'll know which one is the weaker of the offensive lineman. They'll feast on him throughout the whole game. I think my question is, would there ever be an offensive lineman that's so talented and can play all 5 spots and decide that wherever Aaron Donald lines up, I'm gonna line up there? So basically Zach Martin would decide, if you're gonna line up out right, face the right guard, I'm coming out there. If you're gonna face the left guard, I'm going over to left guard. If you're going to the tackle, I'm going over to tackle spot. Me and you are gonna battle all day. You're not gonna get a chance to feast on somebody else.
So
it's me and you. Let's go.
when the Colts faced Donald earlier, right at the start of the season, they avoided putting Donald on Big Q. He hardly had any snaps, and whenever he had snaps against him, he dealt with him completely because he just knew he was going to get no dust out of it.
Yep.
They knew that they didn't even need to double team with Big Q being there because he's one of when the players of that echelon are playing the guard position, you don't need the double team,
Yeah, it's
but
when
they
you have
need to be of that echelon.
when you have like hulking players. Don't get me wrong, the size really does make a difference. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where
No, but my question that I asked was like, would we ever get to a point where offensive line play can improve to that point whereby, like you see how they didn't try Donald on Big Q. Big Q
They
goes
did,
hand
but
to-
not a lot. He was
No,
always
but-
on
but what I'm
Glowinski, the right
saying
guard.
is, okay, so my point is, what if Big Q took upon himself, I'm hunting Donald. Wherever Donald lines up is where I'm gonna line up. You are not gonna feast on anybody today. It's me and
I
you.
think
We're gonna battle
what
all
it
day.
is generally for some reason we don't tend to see the positionals. The thing about it is that you do see adjustments sometimes. You know when the defensive linemen make an adjustment and they switch, whereas for
Yeah.
an offensive lineman from going right guard to right, from going left guard to right guard is a bit too much, like space too far for them to
Yeah,
do that
it's
position.
true. Some
So
of
that's
these
why they
people-
don't do it.
some of these guys have played the same position their entire lives in high school and college, and it would be like you're right-handed and then suddenly you've got to write an essay with your left hand. Like, don't get me wrong, you can write immaculate essays, but it just feels like an alien environment, and for them to do that, it would be a lot, because they're like, if you're like
And physically, the distance may be too difficult to be able
and-
to do it. You know,
and
with the
like-
adjustments that people can do.
for example, our Eagles have Lane Johnson. He's our right tackle. Now he's been in terms of like his overall career, he was a left tackle to kind of talent coming out. But obviously we had Jason Peters, and now obviously we have Milata. But it's just one of those things where he played left tackle his whole career, and then for him to get moved from left to right, he basically had to relearn the position. You know, so now he doesn't play left tackle unless there's like catastrophic injuries, and then he has to move over towards the left side. But those games are never pretty, you know, when that happens. So it's very hard for an external lineman to do. It would just feel like an alien environment to him. But it'll be good to get that kind of matchup from time to time.
No,
I
but
don't
what
think it
I'm
will
saying
realistically
is that
happen.
no, but what I'm saying is that for me, in terms of offensive line play in the league, I'm yet to see that happen, and I'll be excited if I ever see the first player that can play any one offensive line without like that. Like,
I think they're
what
too
mean is, like-
specialized, the positions.
Like,
Because
centers,
centers,
you are so
centers are very.
talented.
Well, we're talking about guards and tackles only, because centers
Yeah,
are a very
guards and-
specialized position.
No, yeah, I know, because with center you'll be snapping the ball and stuff. I'm talking
No,
about
no,
guards
not
and
just that,
tackles
but you're
only.
also calling out protections as well. You have that requirement.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's too big of a responsibility. But what I mean is that an offensive lineman that can play tackle and guard sport, whereby within the game he can start off a left tackle. So let's say if your best pass rusher like Von Miller, Cam Jordan is rushing from the left edge on left outside linebacker spot, he switches right. He goes over to right tackle and be like, "I got this guy." What I mean is that
I think the tricky thing is that it will show your hand whether you're doing pass or run.
The funny-
Because don't forget when and the reason why I say that is because obviously you're predominantly worrying about pass protection in that circumstance. But in run protection, you're wanting the guy to go downhill. You're generally going downhill, and you want the guy in their best position to create the lane.
that's true. I get all the technicalities, but what I'm saying is, it won't be too far fetched to find a special athlete that can do that one of these days. I mean,
Well,
Maybe that's the next
That's the
evolution
about
of the position.
maybe that
That's
could be
what
the
I'm
next
saying. That's
evolution of
about
the
the
position.
that's the
We
NFL.
don't know. Right, so now we have a trend in the NFL. 2020 season. Tom Brady wins his first wins Super Bowl 55 in his first year with the Buccaneers in their own stadium.
Yep.
Matthew Stafford wins Super Bowl 56 in first year with the Rams in their own stadium.
Yep.
Blank wins Super Bowl 57 in first year with the Cardinals in own stadium.
It's not happening.
That's not gonna happen.
So you're not winning the Super Bowl next year.
You put Pete in like a hard place because he's looking at two buttons here. What's that meme with the guy sweating looking at two buttons? Kyler Murray,
It's not happening.
perhaps not winning a Super Bowl, or
I'm
getting
just like,
you quarterback and win a Super Bowl.
I saw this tweet earlier and I said, I'm totally going to use this to trigger my Cardinals co-host.
It's not happening. I wish. Okay, so here's my take. I wish Michael Bidwood, the team owner, would defer, and then let's say we pick a date, in future to host the Super Bowl, but not next year's day. I know hosting the Super Bowl brings a lot of money financially, but I wish he would just defer because, and
just because of that
no, but
streak.
I say no for the Cardinals just to say, is because it's not because of Kyler, it's not because of Clift, it's because of the general manager. Some way, somehow, Steve Keim is gonna fuck this up, and it's not gonna happen because he's awful. He can't draft. He overpays for free agents. The only thing that he's good at is trading for good players, but he cannot draft and he cannot sign good free agents. He just makes one big swing signings. He doesn't find value free agents. So the biggest indictment is because we don't have a capable GM that can put a team good enough to compete in a Super Bowl. Like this past season, we had a team that was top heavy. Injuries derailed it. And I don't know what he's gonna do to fix it. So to me, Kyler has a talent and could certainly win it, but I don't think we have the supporting cast to help him do that.
Yeah, I think I heard Kyler came out as saying that obviously this was a social media wipe. He's not in charge of his own social media. New stuff out there. Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
You're now back.
Oh, okay. So yeah, no. I'm obviously Kyler has come out as saying for him this was just a social media purge in terms of a third party was dealing with his account. That's how it is. Like most of these athletes, especially if you're like the starting QB, you don't manage your own social media accounts. They're done for you. That way it's very hard to make a mistake. So when he obviously unfollowed the Cardinals, it was just bad timing and bad optics.
No, but the truth of the matter is that he never followed the Cardinals in the first place. Yeah. So I don't know why people are saying that he unfollowed them. He never followed the team. He never ever did.
Never followed the team. And like, I'm gonna ask you this question, Pete. Kyler Murray has sort of had this label as being perhaps a bit too arrogant. Now, I'm not gonna say that's necessarily his fault, or I think that's basically, if you look at his pedigree and you look at where he's come from, as far as he's always been the best person in the room at everything he does, and how he's been raised. So he's come to the point where he's come from a winning family, a winning career, and he feels as though, like a lot of people said, it's bad leadership because he's looking at others to do things for him rather than him saying, I'm going to do this for the team. But do you think, I'm actually on his side here, I think he feels as though he's done enough, but it's up to his guys to make those plays, like AJ Green failing to turn around and catch the ball when you need the catch, your defense falling short and then giving away a game late. I think it's those frustrations that have come from the surface. And I think that's just a result of his pedigree as an athlete and what he expects from others. A lot of people can sometimes look at that as arrogance.
The only thing I'll say as a countenance to that is the top level players, irrespective of what happens around them, they put it on themselves.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the result, though. Does it change the result?
It doesn't change the result, no, but it's more of they put it on themselves, so then the next year they come out, show the entire league.
Yeah.
Last year it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I am. When they become transcendent.
Yeah,
that's what Kyler will need to do next year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
but
this
here's the
is
thing though. Okay, so
throughout the entire
hold on,
season.
hold on. Here's the thing though. You can come out next season and play. You're gonna be transcendent. But if your guys, if your receivers are the same and they keep dropping the same balls again the following season, what are you gonna do? There's nothing that you can do better to change the situation. People think, okay, you come out, you're playing better, you're making better decisions, you're making better reads. But what if your wide receiver like Christian Kirk keep dropping the ball on key third downs, key first downs during
Is
the course
Christian
of the
Kirk in his
game?
fourth year next year, or is he?
yeah,
He's a
this was
free
his
agent.
paid.
He's not coming back.
This
He's a
was
free
his
agent,
paid.
so
Yeah, this was
It's gone.
his big year.
What
He had
I'm
a good
saying
start.
is that exactly. So what if you're like D Hop got injured? You expect AJ Green and Christian Kirk to step up. They didn't. Kyler during the second half struggle and was losing games will make throws, like highly difficult throws, and AJ Green will drop passes. AJ Green will not run the route completely and bail on it. Christian Kirk made drops in crucial key moments of games. Even there was one game that we played against the Texans whereby I think Kyler threw an interception. He was quite mad about it. But then in the press conference, Zach S complained that, oh, it's my fault. I didn't run the proper route. And that's why I ended up being a pick. So Kyler is doing all he can as a person. But what I feel is that all these leadership issues that people that lead to the press is someone in the front office. I blame the GM Steve Keim. I think the GM I don't like him because I really don't like him.
Have we heard this line before that blame Steve Keim? Because
No,
I don't think I've heard it before.
I think
no. What do you mean? I was blaming Steve Keim.
No. That's what
That's
you
why he
could
said
tell.
it.
That's why I
It's always
said
cover Steve
it.
Keim, but yeah, GMs a lot of the time hide
No,
behind.
but it's true though. Like,
Yep.
exactly. Like GMs had a lot of time, and the thing is, this whole situation with Kyler is that he's frustrated because he knows the potential that he could take the team to if we draft better, if we sign with the better players. But I also hold Cliff accountable in a situation where they talk about, oh, he's a bad leader. I look at him like Kyler wants to win. He doesn't really care about stats. He cares about winning. That's his whole thing. He's won everywhere he's played. It's not even about his stats. It's about him winning and having a winning record and going far and trying to compete to win championship. That's what he wants to achieve. And the thing is, Cliff, when it comes to the NFL, okay, in high school and college, right, you could go by being yourself. Kyler is so different from a lot of young players in terms of the maturity wise. He is a very introverted person. He keeps to himself. The only way he leads is by example, and they ask him to be vocal. This past season was a bit more vocal. He called out guys when they made wrong blocks, wrong plays. On the sideline, he motivated teams. But you know how the NFL is. When you're a quarterback and you make one bad body language move that they perceive to be bad body language, cameras pan to it, they pick up on it. They're like, oh, look at him being a bad leader, smashing his helmet on the ground. That's because he's passionate. He wants to win. Now, in a playoff game against the Rams, there's a report that he refused to come into the game for the last 1 minute or so. Hey, everybody has their views to it. People say it doesn't show leadership. To me, that signifies to someone that's passionate is like the game is done. There's nothing I can do in the last 2 minutes.
I think what it is that
Dilly, please let me finish. What I mean by that is that yes, I get it from people's perspective. You finish with your guys, but to me, that's about someone like the game is done. He wasn't gonna go out there play the last two steps. To me, it's not a big deal to me anyway. Whether he plays the last 2 minutes of a game whereby we've already lost. My last point is that when we were winning, when we were 7-0 and 10-2, none of these reports came out that of bad leadership and all of that stuff. So when we were winning,
leadership doesn't
he wasn't.
show.
Let me finish.
No. Just as a rebuttal, leadership doesn't show when you're winning. It's when you're losing.
But here's the thing, though. Why do we always want to show leadership when the team is down? Why do you always want to show leadership when something is bad? In my workplace where I work, leadership is throughout the whole year. Whether things are good, whether things are bad, show leadership in all aspects. You don't report that he's a bad leader when we've lost and had an awful second half. And when we was winning and everything was good and was winning games, he wasn't a bad leader then. When we've lost games, that's when he's a bad leader.
I kind of want to add to this.
And my last thing is that when
the last thing after your last thing.
No, because you didn't let me finish my point. You did a rebuttal, so let me finish my point. That's what I'm trying to say. You did not let me finish the point I was trying to make. You just came with a rebuttal, and I responded to your rebuttal. You did not give me a chance to finish. My thing is, the Cardinals as an organization has failed Kyler in terms of putting things around him in that sort of thing. So I put it this way: you drafted Kyler, you did your homework, you knew he had these leadership issues. You knew he was introverted. He wasn't a rah-rah guy. He wasn't someone that would speak up in front of the team. So when he comes in, Kyler is a rookie. He's got a rookie head coach who's never had NFL experience. As the front office, recognize the problem early from his rookie season, have him start, give him some sort of, put a leadership program in place where it's gonna bring someone in, a veteran quarterback from the rookie season. I've seen other teams done this for a lot of rookie quarterbacks, but when they draft him, they bring in a very veteran quarterback who's been in the league for years. And that even though the rookie quarterback is starting, the veteran quarterback mentors that rookie
can talk in their ear, but sometimes the rookie quarterbacks don't listen either as well.
It's Josh McCown.
But did you bring in a veteran? That's my point. Did you try it? Did you do it in the first place? That's the point I'm trying to say.
Who's your veteran at the moment?
It's Colt McCoy. You
oh yeah,
McCoy
no, he's good.
Until this past year.
Good.
And he has helped Kyler grow in leadership. But Colt McCoy should have been brought in from Kyler's rookie season. That's the point I'm trying to make. You don't start leaking out this information in his third year, but you start doing it because from the pre-draft process, you know what the guy's weakness is. So you work on it from the rookie season. That's what a good organization do.
My thoughts on this is Kyler's always been talented. He knows he's not the problem. The fans know he's not the problem. Journalists outside of the city know he's not the problem.
Absolutely.
When you end up with a talent like that in your team and you see yourself losing games, it puts pressure on the back office. And they're all pointing at each other, trying to work out because they don't want the heat to come their way. So, they'll try and move things. They'll try and bend the argument. But at the end of the day, just like with every other team, the franchise QB is not going anywhere. Your head coach will be gone. Your GM will be gone. Kyler's not going anywhere. And I think Kyler right now is moving with that kind of confidence. And to be honest, I'm not upset because I know what he expects. I know what he expects from his team. Like, you have to understand from where he's come from. Same thing with Sunshine in Jacksonville. He had a meeting with the back office because he's used to a winning culture. He's used to going into an organization that has its, pardon my pun, like has its ish together, And when he goes from Clemson to this and it's dysfunction, or one guy's not pulling his weight as a GM or a personnel manager, then he's there like, look, I'm basically gonna oust you. And when that happens, because you're not meant to do that in the league, some teams feel a bit uncomfortable. Sunshine, he's already started doing it. He said, look, I feel as though we have a really good back. Who's their running back in Jacksonville? Yeah, when he got benched,
Robinson.
Sunshine was furious because he was like
James Robinson, and then he's had his injury and now
exactly. But he was good to go
as well to come back.
He was good to go and he was healthy, and I think for Sunshine, that was when he went ballistic because he's like, we have the best back on our team and he's on the bench. He should be out here, and that's when that huge disconnect between back office with Jacksonville and what he thinks is putting your team in the best position to win. I think the same thing's happening to Kyler. It's gotten to the point now where, just like I said with the GM, he's how can I say, he's unofficially questioning the back office and how they run things, because he's there seeing like, look, there's certain personnel we have on the team. We have really good linebackers that you drafted that you're not going to play. Rondale Moore needs more reps because I know he's better than Kirk. I know he's better than your number 3 guy, but you're not giving him reps. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Sometimes they'll keep people out of the games so that they don't have to pay incentives, so that other people on the team get less snaps. He's like, put Zach Ertz out there. I want him there to win the game. But if Zach Ertz is not on the game or he has less than a certain amount of yards, guess what? They don't have to pay his incentives. There's a lot of politics that gets involved. But all I know is that perhaps Kyler is seeing this and he's there like, look, Why is
Do we want to
Rondo
win,
more?
or do we want to
Yeah,
pay people the
I
least
don't want
amount
to
of money?
play. I don't want to play these politics. Rondo Moore should be my starting slot. I know he can play. Like, why is he not out there with me on regular downs? Instead, I've got a fourth string guy when the other guy can't play. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of added to that. So I'm actually on Kyler's side here, but I do think the way he's addressing it, I mean, that's not his fault. That's how he's always been. You know, he's always like, on to the next question.
I think
You know what I mean?
I
think
I
that's
get
how
what you
he's
mean.
always
The way
answered the question.
he's
But
addressing it,
I'm going to move us on because
Okay,
the
yeah.
way he's addressing it's a bit.
we've had enough of.
It's a bit bad. The way he's addressing it, but to me, at the end of the day, that's what it's gonna come to. And I think people speculate it could be a contract issue. I think it's more to do with we need to win. It's not more.
Ain't a
The money will
contract issue.
come, but I think Kyle it's about winning. It's
getting
about
paid,
having
man.
a say.
Well,
My
he's getting.
Eagles would love
he-
Kyler Murray.
I think
It's about
yeah,
having a say, man.
So, free agents next year. Well, for this coming off season. Well, we are now in the off season. Who are the free agents that you are very intrigued as to where they land?
Devontae Adams.
So Devontae Adams currently listed as free agent, obviously a free agent. He can be franchise tagged by the by the Packers for a silly amount of money. We don't generally franchise tag is a really bad thing for teams to do, but what do you so Devontae Adams? Do we expect him to remain in Green Bay beyond this season?
If Aaron Rodgers is gone,
yeah.
I think
I
he'll
think
I think if Aaron Rodgers goes, he is getting franchise tagged.
well,
whether Rodgers goes or not, he's getting franchise tagged anyway. They're not letting him leave.
Yeah, he's not going.
they can franchise tag him though, like for sure. It's not going to be like
They're not letting him leave because
no one. But
There's
you can't
absolutely no
attract,
chance.
you can't attract a QB there with no one to throw the ball to.
Exactly.
So-
Now we look at the high earners, right? So we look at the high earners on the free agent list. So the highest earner is Von Miller on the free agent list. Do we expect him to be back in LA next season?
I think he's happy in LA.
ramification.
Yeah, I think he's
Pardon?
happy in LA.
I said he could be a ramification.
Yeah. I think he's happy in LA. It's a good city, great.
I know
social
OBJ
life,
was willing to
nightlife.
take less money than he would get elsewhere to
Well,
play
yeah,
in
'cause
LA.
It's Hollywood, man.
I mean,
You're right there.
okay, so
Because he's opposite Cooper Cup and he'll be able to eat.
yeah, I mean, it's coming off ACL, so it's best for him to stay with the Rams on another 1-year deal, and see where he goes from there. But if I'm Von Miller's agent, I'll tell Von, like, look, you've won 2 Super Bowls, Hall of Fame status is secure. Let's go get the bag one last time, because this is his last opportunity to potentially get the bag before he retires.
He's going to be 33 before the next season starts.
Yeah, but he's coming off a Super Bowl year, and the only
Yeah.
way I think he goes back to the Rams roster is if it takes less than. I said
He's on 19 this year, so
no, but the 19, most of it's being paid by the Broncos. That's why the
Correct.
Rams gave up
that's
a
why
lot
the
of
Rams went for
draft
it. Yeah.
picks. Exactly, but coming up to this year, now that he's a free agent and his market value is at 17, unless the Rams say we can give you 10 or 11 or say 12, then Von might take 12. But if I'm your agent, I'll be like, okay, so if I have another team that's willing to give you 15, 17, go get the bag on a short 2-3 year deal and we get the most guaranteed money, because other teams are looking for pass rush help. They'll bring Von in to bring leadership. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, so he could be a potential casualty. Depends on how it goes, but I kind of don't see him coming back with the Rams if he goes
He's
for the
won-
bag.
You look at
he's won his
the
2
outside
championships.
linebackers. There are 3. Well, there are 4 on this list for that of the guys that earn like $6 million plus, right? And those are Von Miller, Chandler Jones, Anthony Barr for the Vikings, and Hassan Reddick.
I think Reddick's gonna get it back though. Someone's gonna pay him because he's the youngest of.
Yeah,
those, and
he got a 1-year deal, didn't he, over in Carolina? So
yeah, I think he'll probably get close to 17, 18, probably 19 million per year.
do you think
because
he'll
he's
get it at
proved
Carolina, or do you think he's going to go elsewhere?
Well, Carolina has a cap room, so it depends if they want to give him the bag. But if he doesn't go with Carolina, he'll go elsewhere as well. I mean, their teams are looking for pass rushers on the market every day, and I think he stays in Carolina. I think they give him the money because he proved it.
We look at wide receivers. The top three, there are four who I'd say we have significant interest in. So Devontae Adams is numero uno. I think very close behind is Chris Godwin. Where he ends up, because he will elevate any squad that he will go to.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think he'll go back to Tampa.
Nice.
With their quarterback situation?
Florida.
I mean, if Tampa gives him good money, I think why not? And I think they're gonna fix that because they're doing their homework on Russell Wilson and Deshaun. I mean, the offers for Deshaun are limited now.
The well's kind of sort of dried up on that aspect.
So other players, the highest earning wide receiver, because obviously he was on the franchise tag this year, he had a terrible season, like bargain bucket. Like, as bad of a season could go on the franchise tag as Allen Robinson. Because we know he's a very good player.
We know he's talented.
Yeah, I saw something on Twitter. Like, do you know what happened? Like,
he had 38 receptions in the entire season.
No, but I saw a Twitter thread which he actually replied to it, and he said that it was actually the Bears that sabotaged him actually, because from the 2 years he was targeted, he had 154 targets, 155 targets, and this year they only gave him 66 targets. So the tweet was like,
devalue him.
Exactly. Imagine your GM. To me, like I said before, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace have proven to be the candidate for, excuse my language, our listeners, assholes and pricks of the year. Because how you sabotage your own team like that, especially what they did with Justin Fields and what they did to Allen Robinson by reducing his targets.
You would be surprised. Like, just like I said, I've been watching a lot of player
like you
podcasts.
Said, there's a lot of politics.
There's a lot of politics because a lot of teams, like, let's say they pay you like a large contract. All right, you go to a team, and let's say there's certain parameters in that contract that say, okay, if you get this amount of production, we're going to give you even more money. But guess what? On game day, whenever you see that player not in the game on pivotal downs, that's come from higher up, especially if it's a game you're not winning. Obviously winning comes first, but if you're not winning that game, guess what? Manager's going to talk to the coaches, and they're going to be like, all right, they're going to go to the positional group coach, and he's going to say, all right, keep Allen outside of those reps. He's not going to play in the third. There's no need. There's a lot of politics that goes into it, and a lot of players are discovering this. So I think that's one of those things, and I absolutely believe he has been sabotaged, and I think a lot of players have also been sort of sabotaged, especially if you're not winning games. That's the big thing. If you're competing for like a championship, or if you're on the edge, then yeah, go out and get those reps. But if you're not playing for anything, guarantee you those guys with the Excel spreadsheets, they're definitely going to be making a call down, being like, well, we could keep the salary situation a lot better and save a lot of money on payroll if this guy doesn't get the opportunity to make as many sacks in the fourth quarter of this game. You know what I mean? So it's small things like that.
So last wide receiver, Juju.
Now I heard he's saying that he does the two teams that he's interested in is Dallas and Kansas City.
Okay, Dallas is is everyone wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone wants to have a star on their chest,
Mhm.
on their helmet. So I think that's more like a childhood
Not
thing. Like,
Kyler.
you know what I mean? Not Kyler, but I
Yeah,
think
Not
that's definitely
Kyler
more of a
though.
childhood thing. It's definitely more of like a childhood thing.
but Kansas is obviously because he that's more his most likely place to, try and get a ring. But
I think Nicole's better than he is right now. Don't get me wrong, Juju's. I mean, he's more of a possession receiver, but I mean, I don't think they need him. You know, they could easily sort of draft someone late. You know, and like I honestly don't think they need him. So
it'll be very interesting to see what the market is like for him. Running backs.
I mean, he's not
wise-
coming off a strong season. I think for
Well, he
him,
was injured, wasn't he, predominantly? So
yeah, I think for him, he needs to look for a team that has a bona fide one because I think he thrives as a wide receiver too.
well, yeah,
yeah,
So
I think we've seen that he's not 1A.
Yeah, so look for a team whereby you can be wide receiver 2 and still get close to 900, 1,000 yards and still get about 8 to 10 touchdowns every season. And with a wide receiver 1 in place, he can have those consistent numbers.
So there are, I would say, 4 running backs there are a few there are quite a few running backs who are free agents this off season. Highest paid one, Melvin Gordon, had a very good season actually. 918 yards on the ground. Considering he was in a 2-back committee as well, they both did pretty well. But I don't think anybody expects him to be in Denver next year. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Granted, he is going to be 29 this coming season. Additional Leonard Fournette, 27 years old only, just turned 27. 800
Best
yards
move for
in the
him.
season.
Go back to the Bucks, but sign a good 3 to 4 year deal. Be the main back with the Buccaneers because they really help revitalize his career. So it's the best situation that I see for him.
He was only on 3 million last year as well, so he's like,
Yeah,
and he was
just playing for cheap.
so. Other running backs, Raheem Mostert, so he will be 30 next year, and he only
Yeah.
had 4 snaps on the season because he
I
was injured
think-
straight away, and then
I think
out.
you need an offensive guru that's gonna sort of put him in the best position to win. I think that's been like his MO in the career. As far as like an offensive weapon, that's kind of like been who he is. So I don't think he can go to a team and be their guy. I think he needs to go to a team that's gonna utilize his skill set. If he can, he should try and stay with the 49ers because I think that's the most success he's had his whole career, I presume. Plus, they believe in him and they know him in that organization. So if I were him, I'd try and just stay with that team if possible. See what you can do, contract wise.
I mean, he was their number 1
Yeah.
back. I mean, another team that he can go to is the Dolphins because they're the 49ers offensive coordinator has the new head coach, Mike McDaniel. They have a relationship there.
Whether that's a fit, we'll see in the coming weeks. One player who had a very good end to his season, but suddenly got 750 yards on the ground, and he did it at 6.3 yards a carry as well. Rashad Penny.
Okay.
Now,
Go back to that
considering his start of has he earned him his right to get a good salary next year?
No.
I'm not
I
saying
said no.
elite level salary. I said a good salary
Still
because he was on 2.6 this gone year.
I mean, he was
26 years old. He's had like the first couple of years, like the expectations were through the roof for him. But this gone season, he was, even though he only played in 10 games, started only 6, and he had 749 yards at 6.3 yards a game, so 75 yards a game, which is very good for a running, like 75 yards a game is great.
It's huge.
Yeah, but he played poor defenses though towards the end of the year.
Yeah, but their offense wasn't that great either.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, I would like to see a full season's worth, and I don't think he's. I mean, to put it this way, from a team, I'm not committing to like 5 million or even 3 million. I'll give him somewhere around 1 to 2 million. Prove it for
So
Yeah.
a
you
year.
give him less than he was on in this latest season.
You have to understand with the
I mean, I'll
back,
give him the
everything
same.
with the back, everything works against them because you could draft a guy and have him
Mhm.
play for peanuts and get the same
Exactly.
production. And there's a lot,
Yeah,
there's talent
because they
every year. There's
drafted him high as well, so that's
yeah,
why he's on 2.6.
I mean,
yeah,
I
there's
mean,
talent
guess how
every
much
year.
we paid James Conner this past season,
You paid him 1.75.
and his play was definitely more than 1.75.
Absolutely,
Do you know
it's
how many
almost
yards
daylight
he had
robbery.
more than Rashard Penny
Not a
on the
lot,
ground?
but
A lot.
he. I mean, how many yards did he have on the ground? I don't know how much he had on the ground,
He had 3 more yards.
Oh,
but how many
really?
touchdowns though?
One had 15. Yeah, but that's a product of the offense. One had 6 and one had 15. Seahawks didn't score a lot of points.
No, but you say that, but at the end of the day, James Conner proved I didn't have a lot of yards, but hey,
Correct.
I scored a lot of
He
touchdowns.
got
I
into the
did
end zone. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. I did what, and ultimately points win games. I did what I was brought in to do.
can't believe you
Um,
got him at that price. Crazy.
it is an insane price that they got him at. Other big name players, I'm going to rattle them off. Actually, do you expect Chandler Jones to be there next year?
Chandler Jones.
Honestly, I don't.
32 years old next season.
I don't. Knowing Steve Keim, who is so awful, I don't.
All right. Honey Badger, free agent again, 30 years old next season.
I heard something about the
No,
Chiefs
I
are not
think
actually bringing him back, which is
He's a leader for their
I
defense.
don't see him going anywhere. Yeah, no, I think 100% they bring him back. Like I
are
said,
you
he is a
sure? Because at the end of the season, he was talking in terms of like, saying goodbyes and stuff like that.
if it's a financial thing, I guess he's at that point where he's got a chip. Um, if
So he's
it's
looking
about
for last bag.
yeah, I can see that because, like I said, the NFL is brutal, and he's had a few injuries, and rehabbing injuries isn't fun. It makes you think of your own mortality. You realize that you can't play this game forever. So I think he might be going after the bag. Like I said, he doesn't owe Kansas City anything, but it would be really good if he did finish his career over there with one last contract, maybe not a huge one, but maybe like a team friendly, but also enough to sort of see him off
With
towards
incentives.
the tail
maybe.
end of the career with incentives he'll never reach. Well, actually, because they're always competing, he could actually get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Or
agree.
he could pull an Eric Weddle and find his way onto a Super Bowl roster last minute and get a championship after retiring. That's one for the bag. He must be counting his blessings because I see him there celebrating and he's there like, dude, you basically joined the team in the playoffs.
But
That
he
tail
joined.
end stretch.
He made an impact.
You made an impact
He
when
made
you
an
needed
impact. He
to.
was valuable.
And this guy was sitting on a sofa and he's like, yo, I just came back, got a ring. He was valuable though. But
I think
I mean,
I
can
think he
see
was
that
keeping in
happening.
shape though. That's
Yeah,
it's
I
a
think
testament to him.
I could
Do
see
you know
Tyrone
really-
doing that
Yeah.
potentially.
You know, an interesting thing. So, out of the top 5 paid offensive linemen, 2 of them who are free agents are from Jacksonville. Yeah.
Oh, wowzer. Yeah.
Cam
They're not
Robinson
coming
and
back.
Andrew Norwell.
I think Noel's 30, so they might look to get younger.
Do you think Norwell stays and you think they're going to have a different left tackle?
It's
'Cause
possible.
Norwell's 30.
It's possible they might go younger at tackle, but it's also possible. I also see them moving on from both of those guys because they're in a great position to get one of the elite tackles in this draft, and this draft has some elite tackles, like at least 2 or 3 or 4 elite tackles that have first round grades.
So top offensive lineman when it comes to pay. Brandon Scherf, guard for Washington Commanders. Nate Solder. He's going to be 34 next year. I don't
He's
know.
been in the league a while. Yeah.
He's been in the league a while. Then the
Wait, hold on. Nate Solder's highly paid?
$15.5 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, if you're an offensive tackle, you could be, well, you're always going to get paid, you know?
Well,
Teron
He's been
Armstead.
awful for the last 3 years.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
so Teron Armstead, New Orleans. Now, New Orleans have major cap issues, so they could well not have him there next year.
He's very good.
Dwayne Brown for the Seahawks, who's he's going to be 37 next season.
Dwayne Brown? What? He's still playing?
Yeah, 11.5 million he was paid last season.
Wow.
He must not retire. He's too old.
Ryan Jensen is going to be an interesting one from a center perspective. He's 31 next year, and he's one of the top level players at his position.
He might go back.
All depends on the quarterback situation.
For sure.
Other players. So Colts have 2 players when it comes to. So I fully expect Eric Fisher not to return next year. He didn't play to the $8 million that he was being paid.
How do you think you guys will attack that left tackle hole then?
I really don't know. Do we go after Teron Armstead?
I would say you guys should, because he's one of the top 10 left tackles in the league.
It's whether the thing is when you put we have players that we do need to pay as well, so it's going to be that tricky fine balance, and whether or not we
the cap
get
is a
rid of
myth.
Carson Wentz as well.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that Wentz is basically like you have no intention of keeping him. Is this true? Like I said, it's just rumors. But where there's smoke, true. There's a fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
I think there's smoke, there's fire because what's maybe have made the front office realise is that to get through in the AFC, you need a guy who's actually elite. Because you look at the talent, you have to have somebody who's able to go toe-to-toe with another quarterback.
I mean, is there anybody out there in the market for your Colts? Because you've lost a first-round pick, and if you release Wentz, who'd you go with?
Well, when it comes to free agents, there are none.
I think the highest ranked QB is Teddy B.
He needs to settle. He's been traveling.
Do you know who's more expensive? Well, I'm going by monetary. But Teddy Bridgewater's not that guy.
I mean, okay. So let's see.
He's no better than Carson Wentz.
See, the only thing is that a guy like if Ballard is gonna follow Les Snead's mantra of F them picks. One guy that makes sense for me from football standpoint of view is Russell Wilson, right? But his wife makes that no sense.
Want to go to the Midwest.
That's the only problem because Russell Wilson is the type of quarterback that would thrive with the Colts, but the family is there.
I don't expect. The thing is, if Colts are going to get rid of Carson Wentz, they're not going to go for anybody who's on that free agent list. They're going to have to go for somebody who they'll have to trade for. So when it comes to a free agent list, the only quarterback that any team is worthy of going for is probably Jameis. Any team, not the Colts, but any team, Jameis, and that's about it. Opinion.
Yeah,
you look at the rest of them. Do you know what's a really intriguing thing? I'm surprised Marcus Mariota has not had another chance in the league.
Would you like
Oh.
your coach to
28
take him out? Would you like your coach to give him
Would
a
you like the
chance?
Colts to pick him up?
That would be really funny. Imagine he went to Tennessee and then beat them in their own division.
Oh man, I think Marcus Mariota is a good locker room kind of guy. I think
But that'd
that's
be
who
quite
he's
funny.
become. It would be hilarious, but I think that's what he's become. He's still going to be in the league for a while because
But he's actually a half decent player.
he's actually a half decent player. I honestly think
Where did it all go wrong?
I think it's
Injuries.
just fit. I think it's injuries and fit. I think he just landed with the wrong team.
No, but I
Could you imagine him with that
show?
show? Imagine him with that Shanahan coaching tree and what they could have potentially been able to draw out instead of instead of Tennessee. I think fit is so important. We're seeing it with Stafford right now. Sometimes, and more often than not, if a guy's extremely talented or if a guy has talent coming out and a team fails to get it out of him, I mean, who knows? We've seen sunshine in Jacksonville. We're watching it now. Let's see how they turn that around with Doug Peterson. If he comes out next year, guns blazing, then everyone is like, wow, you can really turn a person's career around if they end up in the right fit, the right team that understands how to draw it out. So yeah, Andy Reid would have been good for him. Shanahan coaching tree offensively would have been great for him. He just never got that opportunity coming out of Oregon. So it's just one of those things.
I mean, would you take him on your Eagles over Jalen Hurts?
Yep.
You're a hater.
No, I'm not a hater. You saw it with your own eyes, Pete. The guy can't throw the ball down the field. He has no vision. He has no accuracy, and he seems to be gun shy in big games. I don't know what you're expecting. You saw the game. He looked lost out there. That's not a franchise quarterback in his second year. It's not his first year ananymore.
I did, but I'm trying to give the guy a bit of a chance here.
This is the NFL. It's not college. You should be the finished. You should be what you are when you come into the league with a bit of coaching. If you're not there yet, you're never going to be there.
Was Sierra moved to Philly though? Let's skip to Russell Wilson. Was Sierra moved to Philly? It's Philly
if she squints hard enough, she could pretend she's in New York, Jersey, and she might be able to just cope with it. Maybe they get a house in Jersey, New York, a nice area. You know what I mean? They get a nice house in New York, and they can.
How far is New York from Philly though?
I'll have to look it up. It's kind of like going from London. It's kind of like going from London to, I want to say Berkshire or like Oxford. You know what I mean? Like if you have a helicopter, that's you can get there pretty comfortably. And we all know that he has a helicopter, so he'll be all right. They'll probably put in his contract. Howie Roseman, if you have to do it, just put it in the contract. He gets his own helicopter. He can move between the three. He can move between the two towns.
Okay, let's see. So, do you know what? It will actually work. Philly will work because I'm looking at the map right now. Yeah, and New York and Pennsylvania are like border states. They're like,
yep,
you're right. They're border states.
There.
So
that's right. It's basically Jersey sort of area. Yeah, it's like Buffalo, New York. They're all within that same sort of. You can get there quickly. It's basically like going from one end of London to the other, but because they're so diverse, it seems as though they're completely different places. If you know what I mean, but they're actually right next door to each other. So yeah, it could work. But
go get Russ.
I hope so. Howie Roseman's smart. I actually think we're gonna send Gardner Minshew to the Vikings. That's what I've been hearing.
For what?
We'll find out, man. We have picks. We can wheel and deal. We can do a lot of different things. So we'll just have to wait and see. We could be in the market for a new wideout. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
Okay.
Dilly, we can't hear you.
Oh, Dilly, we can't hear you. I was about to say. I was wondering why you seem so quiet. I can hear you now.
So, yeah. Defensive end Dante Fowler, 27.
Cardinals.
You really want him on the Cardinals, don't you? But
No. The reason why I say that's because
he's good.
he's 27. He's had bad couple of years with Atlanta. He thrived in a 3-4 defense, and
Fowler,
yes,
former Jaguar.
yeah, former Jaguar, former Ram. And remember how we got James Conner for like a cheap deal? These are the type of players that my GM is notorious for signing. Like he fits the profile of a Steve Keim signing. That's what I'm saying.
What? Zaven Collins, what position is he?
He's a Mike.
So he's not a edge rusher.
No,
He's
he's
got
a
the frame
Mike.
for it. Okay, well you better hope, because Zaven Collins ain't definitely getting no reps if you bring in those guys. So it's just one of those things.
No, he's a Mike. Because okay, so Chandler Jones goes, Dante Fowler replaces Chandler Jones because Dante Fowler is an edge rusher, right?
Yep.
So you put Fowler on one of your edges, and the thing is, Zaven Collins. If I'm the GM, this is what I hope our GM does anyway. But he's a fool; he might not do that. I would not sign any middle linebackers or draft any, and I will leave Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, and I'll sign undrafted free agent rookies as their backups. And then your DC has no choice but to play those two young guys. You have no choice.
So
You have to force it right now, because
Mhm.
if you don't force it, he'll always prefer veteran guys. Like there were backup linebackers playing over Xavier Collins. That didn't make sense. And you're like, come on, he can't be that bad that you're playing a career backup.
That's not good. I mean, if I all I know is that if you keep this up, your players are gonna want to leave.
Exactly.
They're not gonna want to stay with the team.
Out of the linemen that are free agents, who hit the quarterback the most? He's one of the
Give me the team.
Miami. Obvious, because there's only one person who really hit the quarterback for Miami.
It's not coming to my mind.
Emmanuel Ogba.
Oh, I like him. He's one of my favorite players in the league. He actually gets after the quarterback.
So he had 24 hits on the quarterback, 9 sacks on the season.
And he's a defensive end. He doesn't even play outside linebacker.
Yeah, he's a defensive end. He's in
a 3-4.
Now, players who hit the quarterback who didn't get paid a lot. Arden Key, defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, wow.
He was on $1 million last year because he was on his rookie deal.
Oh, wow, okay.
So
this is his second year in the league.
No. He was rookie deal.
Oh,
he's an unrestricted free agent.
How long has he been in the league for?
So he'll be 4 years. He's 26.
Okay, so I think
he'll be 26 when the season
maybe
starts.
he could be like a rotational guy somewhere, but they're not going to pay him a lot. He'll probably just be on rotation. Because if he was able to flash, he would have done so already.
Yes, so he had 7 sacks on the season.
Yeah.
7 sacks, 16 hits on the quarterback, no forced fumbles. Forced fumbles, which kind of puts you above and beyond. Because, like, say for example, even like Al-Quadin Muhammad, like Colts player, 6 sacks on the season, and had a forced fumble as well. So there are players who will get a little bit more. They're going to get a bit more money, but it's more of whether they get the level of money that they'll be expecting. One of the players for the Cincinnati Bengals, Ogunjobi, one of the younger defensive linemen who's available, because the majority of them are actually older players. So when you look at the younger ones, it's Dante Fowler, it's Clowney, who's younger because he's just turned 29. Ogba, Vernon Butler for Buffalo, and Ogunjobi. And Jaron Reed. Jaron Reed.
Okay.
Jaron Reed, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see whether some of these players resign, whether these players move on. You never know. Linebacker wise, It's Von Miller, Chandler Jones, Hightower, Anthony Barr, Sam Reddick.
Yeah, no, veterans right now, like I reckon for a lot of those guys, they won't be in the league, not because they're not talented, but I think you can always get guys, you can always pick up guys for the future
There are
in the
there are
draft.
three players who are on the younger side.
Yeah.
Anthony Walker, who had
Okay, yeah. I
so
think we
he
had
had
him.
one season in Cleveland.
Yeah. I think he
Leighton
played.
Van Der Esch,
That's a good linebacker.
That
Maybe not the
Rashaan
money he
Evans.
wants. Maybe not the money he wants, but that's a
Rashaan
so
Evans.
Rashaan as well.
okay. My question is okay. So, why didn't your Colts bring back Anthony Walker? I thought he was good with your Colts. I don't know why you guys
really
didn't bring
don't
him back.
understand why. Like, I think they believed in.
Number 55, Okereke.
Yeah, I think they believed in Okereke that he could make the step up.
Because he was really
And
good for your
Okereke
Colts.
played well.
Yeah, he did. He did.
That stuff is
But,
always dangerous.
There's a lot of players who could be on the move this offseason when it comes to a defensive point of view, so you never know. And it's going to be really interesting to see all these chess pieces move. We're gonna report on it all. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about what these teams need. I'm going to go through all of the teams and see what they need, because it's not just saying, yeah, they need that. They need loads and loads of better players. There are specific needs that they do have. We may try bring some guests as well who support those teams to get their perspective as well on it.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
But aside from that, the recap is done predominantly. Super Bowl is done. It's in the books. It's been a great first season. Well, we are a year-round show, so there is no.
I got to you, Dilly. I got
There
to
is
you.
no.
As I said to the first full season of us is in the books, but we don't have seasons when it comes to our shows. We are continual. We are perpetual.
Actual.
So we're a perpetual motion machine of great content. And
Wait, will our next coverage be the combine?
I mean, we can go over
in
it.
2
It'll be
weeks.
interesting to see. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about the combine. We're gonna talk about how. So we'll have.
Is this the first
may
combine
have
in 2 years?
Yeah, we'll have some discussion
no, it
over
is.
what happens in the combine, because obviously we didn't have one last year, and then we will also talk about, as I said, the teams themselves, because where the needs are, what they need to be, who they need to be looking for, and what the fits may be and may not be. But
Exactly.
so from that, we'll sign off now. So
All the best players
goodbye.
come to Arizona.
Hashtag no bias at all. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Will, thumbs up from
Catch you
him,
soon.
and goodbye
Yep.
from Peter, and we will see you next time.
So